What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. In this video, we are going to look at the Trunk BUSD liquidity pool and see what Trunk needs to get back to peg. We're going to look at the assets owned by the Elephant Money Protocol and try to determine if there is enough there to actually get us back to peg. And then we're going to jump into the Medium article and see what we can learn about what kind of mechanics will be in place to keep Trunk at peg once we do get back. Stay tuned because I got a great video for you guys. This is Into Crypto, a channel I started to share my journey into decentralized finance. Here you will get to see weekly videos of an average Joe investor, myself, start with a minimal amount of capital and attempt to make it big in the crypto space. I will show you everything that happens in my portfolio with full transparency, no matter how bad it may get. I should mention I am not a financial advisor and all my content is intended for entertainment and education only. You should always do your own research before making any investments. If you would like to join the Into Crypto community or you just want to learn more about the crypto space, please check out the links below. And while you're down there, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's get into crypto. So guys, I'm just going to start by saying that I do assume that you are going to have a basic understanding of liquidity pools. If you don't and you are investing in DeFi, I think it's super important for you to learn about liquidity pools because that knowledge will be very valuable to you on your investment journey. So I've put a link for a whiteboard crypto video on liquidity pools in the description. Go ahead and check that out. But if you think you have a basic understanding, let's jump into it. The basic thing to understand about liquidity pools as it relates to Trunk returning to peg is that the automated market makers adjust the price so that there is a 50-50 price ratio of the assets that are in the liquidity pool. In this case, it's Trunk BUSD. So you can see there's 7.35 million Trunk and there is 6 million BUSD. Now, if Trunk was at peg, there would be like 6.06 million Trunk in here because Trunk's worth 99 cents and BUSD is worth $1. But since there was a lot of selling pressure, a lot of Trunk was pumped into this liquidity pool, there is an excess. So you can see that there is, just for math's sake, we'll just say Trunk's worth $1. If that was the case, there is 1.35 million extra Trunk in this liquidity pool. So the automated market maker has dropped the price. So that 7.35 million Trunk now is still worth $6 million, which is half of the value of the liquidity pool. So for us to get Trunk back to peg, we need to get this back to a 50-50 ratio of assets, not just price, but also the number of assets, right? So if we just say that Trunk's worth $1, that means if we had 6 million Trunk and 6 million BUSD, then Trunk would be back at peg. But here's the thing is, the only way to get this Trunk out of the liquidity pool is to buy it with BUSD. So if we do that, every $1 in BUSD is put into the liquidity pool, Trunk out pulls out $1 worth of Trunk. So you actually only need to pull out half of this Trunk to get the BUSD back to peg. So if we look at this here and we have 1.35 divided by 2, that's 675,000. So we need 675,000 BUSD put into this liquidity pool to buy Trunk, and then that will give us basically a 1-to-1 ratio, and we will be able to get Trunk back to peg. So the question is, does the protocol have that 675,000 BUSD available to either pump into the liquidity pool to pull this Trunk out, or to pay for Trunk if people come and buy it here and then sell it to the protocol, right? Because if people come and buy Trunk here, they can't redeem it. They have to be able to redeem it somewhere other than this liquidity pool, or it will just put the BUSD back and we'll lose peg again. So the idea is that we have to get this trunk out of the liquidity pool, and it has to be redeemed somewhere other than this liquidity pool. So does the protocol have the money to pay for that? Well, if we look here, this is the Elephant Treasury, and let's see, this is the Elephant Deployer. So I have found this, you can see right here, this is the Elephant Deployer, and then this is basically a wallet, and you can see that it has 859,000 BUSD, right? But it also has 64 trillion elephant, which is roughly $5.5 million worth of elephant. It also has 390,000 trunks. So there's a bunch of trunks stored on here. There's a bunch of elephant, and there is a bunch of BUSD. So it's really easy to just see right here that the protocol has what it takes to get trunk back to peg. But now how BT is going to do that, I don't know. That is up to him. He's the brains of the operation. I'm just a bystander. I don't know if he is going to open redemptions and allow the community to arbitrage the trunk, buying it on PancakeSwap and then redeeming it on the platform. I don't know if he's just going to use this $850,000 to purchase all of the trunk out of the liquidity pool. Those are really the only two options that I know of. Maybe there's other ones. There probably is. I'm not super savvy with what goes on behind the scenes of these protocols, but the bottom line here is that there is enough money on the platform. The platform does control enough assets to get trunk back to peg. But the issue is if it gets back to peg, how are we going to maintain it, right? Because there's obviously going to be some people that are waiting for trunk to get back to peg to sell. So, those people, I don't think there's a lot. I think we looked in one of my polls, or if you've watched my other videos, I did a poll where it showed about 14% of the community is holding on, waiting for a time to exit. Now, some of those people might have exited already. Some people might still be holding, but if you look in that video, I'll link it in the description and up in the top right corner right now. I talk a lot about the community sentiment, and it shows that while there is a portion of the community that's holding their trunk to sell, there's a much larger portion of the community that's holding their trunk and buying more. So I think that's a really good outlook. Like I said, bottom line is that we do have enough money to purchase this extra trunk, but what BT is going to do after that, I'm not sure. So we will get peg back. There's no doubt about it, right? But the question after that becomes, how are we going to maintain peg? So to answer that question, I want to jump over to the Medium article that has all of the updates, and there's a couple of bullet points here that I want to talk about in update 21. I'm just going to go ahead and read them, and then we'll talk about what they might mean. Again, I'm not sure exactly what BT means here. A lot of us are kind of guessing at what this means, but I think if we talk about it here for a sec, we can get a pretty good idea of what's going on. So it says, on redeem, PancakeSwap is used to refund BUSD at market value. Heavy sellers will incentivize heavy buyers / stakers, and this is the core arbitration engine that has historically kept trunk at peg. A trunk price under peg is an opportunity to earn BUSD for instant profit. So that's basically saying what's kept trunk at peg this whole time is when trunk drops below peg, buyers come and scoop it up at a discount, knowing that they'll be able to sell it for profit once it gets back to peg. So that kind of is just basically producing upward pressure when there's a big sell and it drops a little bit below. People come in and buy it, and they wait till it goes back to peg and they sell it for a profit. So now it says down here on this second bullet that liquidity is now managed by the new peg support Treasury contract. This is an autonomous contract that seeks to support the peg of Trunk BUSD. Now it says some more stuff here, but I just want to focus on this first part. It's basically saying that now the peg will be supported by a protocol owned contract. And how is that contract going to support peg? Well, it just said in this bullet point that peg was supported by making large buys when Trunk fell below peg, and that could be turned into a profit. So what I'm reading between the lines here is that there is a new contract or a new mechanic in the contracts that's going to play arbitration on Trunk. So that's going to help support the peg. It's going to do twofold, right? It's going to help support peg, and it very possibly could be adding a new revenue stream for the platform. Now, I don't know for fact that this is going to add a new revenue stream for the platform, but if you kind of read between the lines here, it does seem that if this contract was put in place to support the peg of Trunk, that there would be a mechanism there for the contract to profit. And I think further supporting that, if you come down here, it says Treasury strategy contracts are now a thing and will be an industry first when it comes to autonomous on-chain governance. So this could very well be a brand new thing in the industry in DeFi. We already know that BT is an innovator. So the next thing I want to look at here in the article is, I believe, update 25 down here, and it's this that's written in italics. It says, in general, when bonding happens in Stampede v5, Trunk tokens are deposited into the Trunk Treasury and they are not burned. When Trunk is claimed from Stampede, a withdrawal will happen from the Trunk Treasury on the first attempt if the withdrawal is less than 1% of the Treasury balance. Otherwise, the system will mint new tokens. So this is really interesting, because if the Treasury is minting new tokens for large withdrawals, then potentially those tokens are going to be taken and they will be sold. And if large sales happen, we know that that is going to not necessarily depeg Trunk, but it will drop the price of Trunk a little bit, which I think then will become an opportunity for the contract, the support contract, to step in and support the price by making large buys for cheap. So potentially what this is saying is that the rewards that are going to be paid out by Stampede could be purchased for cheap. So this kind of backs up what I was just saying about this being a new revenue stream for the platform. Now, BT, if I'm totally butchering this and I'm going in a direction other than what you have, I apologize. As more information is released to us, I will make sure I get it right. But just kind of trying to interpret what I see here, and I love it. So it does in fact look like the protocol will be able to get Trunk back to peg, and it does also look like BT will have the mechanics in place to not only support peg but use arbitration to create a new revenue stream for reward payout. And right now you can see that peg is at 81 cents. So what can you do? How can you take advantage of this? Well, personally, I went and I bought as much Trunk as I could last night at about 82 cents. And just so you can see that, I'm not bluffing here, I do have 501 Trunk in my wallet. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I am not a whale by any means, so this was quite a formidable purchase for me, but I am very confident that Trunk will go back to peg. And so what is my plan with that 500 Trunk? Well, I don't really want to put it into Stampede because I don't want to burn it, right? So what I'm probably going to do is I'll wait for staking to come back. I'm going to hold it for a while, and I'm going to wait for staking to come back, and I'll put it into staking. And when it comes time to redeem, I'm probably not going to redeem all of this at once. I might redeem a little bit of it at a time. The worst thing we can do is buy a bunch of trunk and then go and sell it immediately, right? We want the buys to push trunk back to peg and allow the platform to start working like the reward generating machine that we know it is. This isn't a protocol that hasn't proven itself already, right? We know it works, and those of us in the community that understand it know that this is such a great opportunity. This is not financial advice, but go buy yourself some trunk. It's gonna go back up to peg. Another thing I'd like to mention, guys, is if you like my content, I would love to have you on my team. I do give away 3 days worth of my rewards at the end of every month. If you want to join my team, I'd love to have you. Make sure you join my Telegram group. You just grab my partner address, paste it in here, hit update, and confirm the transaction. Another video I would like to point out is by ACRYPTOINDEX YouTube channel. I'll put a link to this video down in the description, but he talks about a really interesting way to turn your Stampede earnings from 205% to 300%. I really enjoyed this video. I think this guy's got a new channel. Go show him some love. Check out the strategy that he's got, and make sure you take advantage of it before trunk goes back to peg, because once it does, you will not be able to take advantage of this strategy anymore. So I will put a link for this video in the description, and I'm also going to put a link for the Elephant Money Discord in the description. You can always find me in there for help, asking questions. There's lots of people in this community. If there's regular chat, there's a strategy and help channels, and there's even a channel to talk about this exploit. So I hope you'll come and join the community. Looking forward to talking with you. Alright guys, I just wanted to make sure that you understand this is not financial advice, but this is also an amazing opportunity. So make sure you take advantage of these low prices of trunk and elephant before they go back up, because mark my words, they will. We have already proven that there is enough money on the contract to make sure it goes back to peg, and that BT has done some very innovative stuff to make sure once we get back to peg, we will stay there. So not financial advice. Make sure you take advantage of these great prices, and I will see you in the next video. Farewell till next time.